My name is Bethany Swart, and I'm going to be facilitating this phone call. My voice sounds like a frog right now. I've got a nasty cold, but luckily I don't have to do much of the talking tonight. We're going to hear from Nate Fischer, who is actually my brother-in-law, so it's kind of fun to hear from him. And he's a guy, which is kind of a rare thing right now in the Beachbody world. And we're going to hear from Emily Coldiron, who has a really cool story too. She's a mom. She works full-time as a nurse practitioner at Mayo. And she has been really fun to just watch her team grow in the past year. So I've been coaching for about 3 years. I've learned almost everything I know from Amber and Jake Kuiper over there. And yeah, this opportunity has been one of the biggest unexpected blessings in my life. And so I'm just excited for you guys to hear more. Yeah, so we're going to go ahead and kick it off with these guys here in just a second. But just so you know how this works, if you've never been on Zoom before, basically all of you are muted right now. We're going to be recording this call, but if you've got questions as we're talking, there's a chat feature down here, and you can just click that, and you can ask your questions there in the chat feature, and well, I'll kind of keep an eye on that. So if you think of something and you're scared you're not going to remember it till the end, just go ahead and type it in there. And I think that's it. We're going to try and keep this call to about 15 minutes for you guys. But basically the purpose of this call is for you guys to hear a couple of different coach perspectives, because everybody comes from a different background. And even just now, we all have just, our lives look a lot different, but we're just going to be talking about how we make this work for us. So, all right, with all that being said, we're going to start here with Nate and Emily. And I'm going to pull up my questions here. Emily, if you want to go ahead, you just want to introduce yourself a little bit and tell us why you decided to start coaching.
Okay, I think I'm unmuted now. Perfect. Well, my name is Emily, and like Bethany said, I am a mother and a nurse practitioner, and I work full time. So it's kind of a unique perspective, but what led me to Beachbody was I had my third baby, and I kind of always gauged my fitness level based on like how my running was going. And I had completely lost my desire and love for running. When my oldest was a year old, I ran a marathon, and I did it in about 4 hours. When my second was a year old, I did a half marathon, and I did it in sub 2 hours, so I was happy. And then when my baby was a year old, I walked a turkey trot at Thanksgiving. And this is like my token story, but it broke my heart because I had just lost all, like I wasn't even ranking on the hierarchy of needs anymore. Like everything else was coming before me, my marriage, my children, my job, everything else. And I had just ran dry. So I had been following Amber for a little while, like a lot of us do, you know, you kind of stalk until the time is right. And I decided that it was, my youngest was a year old. It was time that I start rededicating time into myself. So really, it was November of 2016, so almost 2 years ago now. And I started with the free trial, and I ended up buying a challenge pack. And Amber told me that if I signed up as a discount coach, you know, I would get the 25% discount, plus I would get a free tank top. And who doesn't like free tank tops? So I totally dove in, and I said, yes, like save money, free tank top, this is for me. So I became a discount coach, but I still thought, you know, I have too much on my plate as it is. I'm not going to be able to put any time into this away from my kids, my family, my job. Well, I had such great success with losing the leftover baby weight that I had wanted to lose. And I was just feeling so much better about myself. I had some self-confidence and some expression again. And all of a sudden, you can't help but talk about it. So I was sharing this with my friends and my coworkers and family. And then people were like, well, that sounds like an amazing thing. Like, I should do that too. And then I'm like texting Amber saying, now what do I do? Because I've got people who want to join me and I have no clue what I'm doing. So I have learned a lot since then, and I am very thankful for this team and where it has brought me today, almost 2 years later.
Awesome. Emily, I love that too. You pointed out a really good point that so much of this is just sharing your own experience. That's really all it is.
Mm-hmm.
When you first get started. Awesome. Thank you. Nate.
All right. How's it going, everybody? So as Bethany said, she is my sister-in-law. I'm married to her sister, Emily. We've been married for 6 years. I have 2 great boys, a 4-year-old and a 1-year-old. We live in Orange City, Iowa. I'm a 3rd grade teacher, and I coach high school football and track. So ever since college, I've had a desire to be an entrepreneur, to kind of start maybe a business where I do it full time, or a side business doing just something on the side, but doing something entrepreneurial. So the last couple of years I was working on my master's degree, and I finished last winter. So when I finished that, I was kind of like, okay, let's start investigating here, kind of looking what sort of thing might I want to do on the side here, just kind of get something rolling. And I came across a book called 48 Days to the Work You Love by Dan Miller. It's a great book. Anybody who's interested in being a Beachbody coach or anything entrepreneurial, it's a great read. But with that, I kind of talked about, finding your passion. What do you really want to do? What are you going to do that you wake up and you just want to work at it? And it doesn't take energy from you. It gives you energy. And so in thinking about that, one of my biggest passions is physical fitness. Being a coach, being a former athlete, I just love that. And so with Bethany as a coach, like, I've been around the Beachbody world for a while. My wife has done a few of the workout programs, and I, would do those with her every once in a while as well. So, I was very familiar with Beachbody and had been around it for a while. And so when I decided to kind of take that path, kind of pursuing physical fitness, it kind of all fell together.
Awesome. Thanks, Nate. Okay, so that's kind of how you guys all started. And I'm sure, though, even though you guys both had a really solid why for why you decided to go and pursue this, you probably had some hesitations and some misconceptions. So that's what I'd like to talk about next. So Emily, if you've got those ready to go, what misconceptions did you have when you first began, and how did you overcome those? How did you decide it was worth it to move forward and work through that?
Well, it's funny. Someone had actually come to our door today selling something, and we got talking about Girl Scouts. This was with my kids, and my son asked me, "Mom, were you a Girl Scout?" And I said, "No, I never was a Girl Scout. I never wanted to sell cookies." Like, that was my answer. And it made me think, it's like, okay, I don't want to do sales. And that's really been, that had been a hesitation and a misconception, that you're going to be selling something to others. And really my own story proves otherwise. It's really just sharing the opportunity and sharing your story and sharing what's working for you that helps the other person. We don't force this on anyone. We want to attract those who are looking for what we have to offer. And it really strikes a chord with me, because my daytime job, the gig that I'm working 45 hours a week at, is taking care of people who are critically ill after open heart surgery. Cardiac surgery is a big thing. Like, there's now a lot of other things that you can maybe get by with without having to have your chest cracked, but it's a big deal. Like, you don't want to end up in the ICU having open heart surgery. And granted, there's a lot of times where it's a crisis, it's something that's unavoidable, whatever. But oftentimes you're diabetic, you're overweight, you have a smoking history, you just can picture the person who has high risk for heart issues. And that's what I see on the daily. And it's hard because there's little that I can do at that point to help them. So this has all kind of been part of my journey, is realizing that, I became a nurse first because I wanted to help other people. And then I went and got my master's to become a nurse practitioner, and have always worked in cardiology in some aspect. And now if I can talk to you now about, diet and exercise and feeding, your family well-balanced meals and playing with your kids and doing all these things that can maybe prevent you from going down that path to have to end up in the ICU, then that is amazing. And I really feel like it's my calling, if you will. But the misconception for me was sales. And then also I laugh that I'm a recovering introvert, that really I tend to be shy. And I have a hard time, like my pulse is probably 120 right now, but I have a hard time talking and sharing in big venues like this. But it's really the personal connection that we have with a lot of our, teammates and customers and stuff, that it's not that either. It's the one-on-one connections, and we're not selling, we're sharing.
Yeah, awesome. I can agree with you, Maura. That's good. Nate, how about you? What was your biggest misconception and how did you overcome it?
So my biggest misconception would be that these online at-home workouts are for women and non-athletes. So as a former college football player and a high school football coach, I'm all about being in the weight room, and I live my life in the weight room, pushing around a lot of heavy metal. So working out in my living room is something that I never thought I would do, and just kind of, it's not for me. So that was definitely kind of a hurdle that I had to go through, and that kind of is part of my fear too. That kind of connected with posting on social media. I was never one to post a lot. Oh yeah, sure, there's pictures of me, that's good, cool, I'll let my wife put those on. So I was never one to actually post any pictures or write anything. So then now when I'm doing at-home workouts and posting about it, it's kind of it's like, whoa, what are my former teammates going to think of me? I've gone soft. So that was definitely a big misconception and fear there. I think a big part of how I got over that, part of that was the Lift 4 program. So right as I'm thinking about this and kind of doing this searching is when they're getting ready to do the pre-launch of Lift 4. And so Bethany told me about this program. I looked at it and I was like, oh, I can do that. I like that. You're lifting weights. That's fine. So that was definitely very helpful in pushing me past that hurdle. The other thing is a lot of reading that I've done, whether it's just personal development books or business books, it talks a lot about fear. And, the hard things or the good things in life aren't easy. They're hard. You got to do the hard things. You have to overcome your fear. If you're scared of the water, staying away from the water isn't going to make you not afraid. You have to jump in, you have to go swimming to overcome that fear. So, I still remember my first post and, the butterflies in my stomach and, just hitting that post button. It was hard, but you just kind of you hit the button and close the computer and walk away and it's out there. And, it's easier over time. It's never totally easy. So actually just last night I posted my first ever before and after picture from my first round of Lift 4. And I struggle with that. I was scared, but I went for it and I did it and feeling good today. So.
Yeah, Nate, I'm pretty sure most people can relate to the social media thing. I think most of us come into it feeling nervous about that. That was my big thing too. So awesome. Okay, I have one last question for you guys, and then we'll let you all go. But thinking about your life now, and Nate, I know you haven't been doing this for a really long time yet, but what is your life like now compared to pre-coach life? How have things changed for you? How have things changed for your family? Let's hear a little bit about that. Em, you want to go first?
Sure. I think probably the biggest change for me, I've had some physical change. You know, I've lost some of the baby weight that I was hoping for, but more than the physical changes, it's been, you know, the inside stuff. Nate alluded to personal development, and that is huge. You know, I'm reading books now that are about me and like helping me overcome my fears and become a better person. And I still am reading, you know, I can recite a lot of children's books to you, but I'm actually reading for me. And I'm feeling more confident, and I am proud of myself, and I'll flex my bicep and, you know, things that like, I just have a little bit of swagger again. Whereas before I was just the mom of three who drove the minivan, who went to work. And yes, on, you know, the Christmas card picture, things all looked great, but I wasn't feeling fulfilled. I wasn't feeling like what I was doing day in and day out made a difference. And now I certainly know that, I say, this is the thing that I never knew I always needed.
That's so good, Emily. Nate, how about you?
I would say one thing would be more productive evenings. There's been a lot less TV watched in our house the last few months. I've been a coach. Now, I've always been a big reader, and I feel like that's kind of been leading up to this, you know, reading a lot of personal development books, business books, you know, like I talked about. But now is more focused. You know, I had this thing that I was actually doing. So as I'm reading these books, now I can think about, okay, how does this apply to Beachbody coaching? And I think that's been really cool. Another thing is, I feel like I've just been way more intentional in relationships. I think we talk a lot about that. You know, our leaders talk a lot about that, just building relationships. That's what it's all about. And so I feel like, you know, I've connected with some people I didn't even know, some people that I knew a little bit, and now I've, you know, built a cool relationship with them. And I look forward to, you know, a lot of really cool opportunities like that. One other thing along those lines, I've had a couple of former athletes come and kind of talk to me about Beachbody programs. So that's been really cool. You know, a kid that I get to coach in high school, and then if I can still work with them into their adult lives and just really build that lasting relationship and be able to invest in them. That's really cool and something I look forward to.
Awesome. Very cool. So I guess I just want to say one last thing in closing, then I'll let Amber and Jake take it in case there's something they want to say. But for those of you on this call who are new to this and who are just looking in, so often you guys, you'll see this as something that is done online. And it is. You'll meet a ton of really awesome, real people. I was a huge skeptic on that. Really, you meet real people on Instagram and you work with them, and it really does happen. But this is also something that can be done at the local level and in your communities. And I think Nate and Emily are such great examples of that. Nate, with just the way this has kind of infiltrated your school setting, and the guys that you're coaching that are now coming back, which is just very cool. And Emily, just in your in the hospital. So it is both. You can really do this on a local level, and that's really, really fun to see. It's not all done online through a screen. So Amber and Jake, I'll give it to you if there's anything you guys want to say to close it out.
Yeah, well, it was just so fun. Thank you, Bethany and Nate and Emily, for just sharing your hearts. I can't get a bigger.
I know. I feel like I'm smiling from ear to ear. I'm just beyond beyond proud. We had a dude speaking on the call tonight. Like, that is just, we're doing something right, people.
Yeah, I mean, it's just so fun to hear just, you know, what this opportunity can do. And it's not just about being in like great shape or earning a lot of money. I mean, those things are great, right? But I think hopefully what you've gathered is just the development that we've had as people and as a community and the relationships. Like, that's why we keep showing up for this. And, you know, we're excited to share more with you. Jake and I will go a little bit more in depth and share a little bit more about our story tomorrow night.
I would just say on that note, like, if it's not on your calendar yet, I would put it on there and star it, because we are going to bring it tomorrow night for you. You guys are going to get every bit of energy that we can muster up, assuming our kids are sleeping like they are tonight. We just
we have a record tonight. All of our kids, all 4 sleeping, like actually sleeping by 8:30.
I think everybody in our house can tell that it's ignition week.
Yeah.
But we really are excited to speak with you guys tomorrow night. We've got a number of notes that we've already started writing down, and it's just going to be a lot of fun. But first, and even beyond that, we're just so incredibly grateful to everybody that is either on this call live tonight and or watching the recording later. We're just so passionate about what we do, so grateful for people like Bethany, Emily, and Nate tonight. And that's just like a few of just an absolutely incredible team of people. So thank you from the bottom of our hearts for spending a few minutes with us reviewing this.
Yeah, so we will see you guys tomorrow night and also Thursday night for just a bit to share a little bit more. So thanks so much, you guys. We'll talk to you soon. Bye.